Welcome in for another edition of NewOrleans.Football. As always, we are presented by PJ's Coffee, the best coffee shop in the land. And if you're looking to make your way to a PJ's or any one of our great sponsors, make sure it's in a car from Matt Bauer's Auto Group. He has a wide selection of cars available, but specifically, there is the Ford dealership on Veterans Memorial Boulevard. And right under us in our studio is the new pre-owned Ford dealership, so make sure that you check them out. Mike, let's get
Brandon will take you for a test drive personally.
Hey, if y'all want to get behind the wheel with me, I got you. I'm a smooth driver. Let's get into our first segment presented by Rouse's. Mike, the owners' meetings of this week, there's been some buzz about some different rule changes, and it's just like an opportunity for all of these league people to see each other once again. They always get an opportunity to do that, but everybody in one place. There's some rumblings yesterday about some tush-push back and forth about that. There were a couple of reports about that. So what do we expect to hear from the owners' meetings this week?
Yeah, owners' meetings is a big one for a couple of things. They have multiple owners' meetings a year, but this is the one where a lot of rules get passed. The competition committee presents all these new rule changes that either have been proposed to them by teams or that they've come up with themselves that they suggest. So this is the main time of year. There are other times when it can happen, but this is the main time of year when rule changes happen. And then you've already seen it Monday morning, bleary-eyed coaches having coffee with reporters. We'll see the NFC coaches, including Kellen Moore, on Wednesday morning talking to reporters. We've had a lot of access to Kellen Moore this year. There are some years where we haven't talked to Sean Payton since, season wrap-up press conference, and we got a lot of questions for him. But we've talked with Kellen Moore on a lot of things, including the Super Bowl, the Saints making him available for us, his introductory press conference. Y'all go into Baton Rouge for the coaches clinic. So we're learning a lot about the coach, but another hour with him tomorrow. But league-wide, Tush Push has taken the headline. It's so funny. I just texted my family group chat, but obviously the three of us have texted about this all the time, me, you, and Nick. Nick is absolutely this is so weak. If you can't stop it, learn how to stop it. If you can't do it, learn how to do it. I mean, and that's exactly what I said. Like, I actually think it's probably a rule that maybe one day it'll go away, and it probably was never intended to. It's like somebody found a loophole, and it doesn't really feel like a real football play to me. So I wouldn't mind if it went away. But like, I'm just adamant that, hey, just because one team learned how to do it and no one else seems to be able to do it, and certainly no one seems to be able to stop it, that is not a reason to change a rule. And the Green Bay Packers should be ashamed of themselves for proposing it. It's hilarious that Nick Sirianni is out there being like, what was his quote? He was like, I already know Kellen Moore is going to vote against it. Shane Steichen is going to vote against it. Jonathan Gannon is going to vote against it. He's like, that Tushman is the reason they all have jobs with the NFL, which is hilarious.
Right. No. Yeah, that is the reason why they have head coaching jobs, because those led to wins, which led to more eyes being on them, which led them on to be successful coaches. And I really think it is like, where's Shane at? Nick and I were talking about this with something else the other day. Like, if you can't stop it.
Yeah. You can't propose that rule change. You can't.
Exactly.
Like Roger Goodell or Rich McKay on the competition committee can say, hey, look, with apologies to Philadelphia Eagles, we don't think this is the spirit of the game. I mean, didn't they get it in college a long time ago? Why am I remembering the whole Reggie Bush controversy where he pushed Matt Leinart into the end zone?
Billy Gillette was going to have something to say.
Yeah, but so I understand if somebody who is a rules authority says that this is not a rule that we intended to be allowed in the game, we're banning it. A team is not allowed to say, hey, we can't stop it. Help.
No,
the NFC West team should propose some sort of a quarterback's not allowed to throw sidearm when he's on the run rule.
Exactly. You can't throw behind your back Yeah, something like that. If we want to talk about that, or don't like pause right before you hit the boundary, so like the linebacker has to hit you. Yeah, the Texans are the ones with the real gripes. It's fun to be honest with you. But even last year, during the owners' meetings, that's when we saw the Rizzy rule go in place, and that's what we saw.
And they're going to tweak that, and I think it's what Rizzy wanted all along. I think Rizzy had kept telling us that they kind of backed off on making the touchback go all the way out to the 35 last year. And he's like, that means teams are just going to they're going to let the touchback happen if it's the 30. So if they get that passed and make it come all the way out to the 35 now, they think teams will be even more incentivized to kick it inbounds and make more returns happen. So he's got a lot of clout. He'll probably get that one done.
Yeah, for sure. And then even going back to last year's owners meetings, that was a chance. The Saints had just signed Chase Young in. I had a chance to talk with Shanahan about the type of player he was. And, you got some early insight on the different moves that your team has made throughout the free agency period in the offseason. But, Mike, another rule that I heard kicked around, I haven't confirmed it yet, but I know you're anti-chain gang.
Oh,
talk about that over there.
All right. Well, so look, I don't think any of these things are going to get done as early as this week, but we are getting closer to the things like the major, like the technology and when I've been anti-chain gang since I was covering the 49ers in the 90s, the late 90s. God, I'm old. And I've been saying it since then that I think the chains are stupid. And I used to think my old rule proposal used to be just every time there's a first down, just actually put the ball on the yard line. And then you have to get to the exact, you're calling it the 34-yard line, put it on the 34-yard line. That was my, or they could, draw the lines all the way across the field. It would look a little different. But I've been thinking about that way before we had technology. Now that we obviously have the technology to do it, I can't believe. And the thing I have against the chain gang, no offense to those people who work very hard, but if you ever watch a football game, yes, they make it look like an exact science when they bring the chains out to measure a football. But when they set those chains down in the first place, they're 50 yards away, running, looking, and then they set it down. It's like an estimate. It's not an exact science. Anyway, that's end of rant. That's going to go away eventually with technology. I think we're going to be able to, did the ball go over the goal line with technology? That's coming soon. I think what we are going to get, though, that I think is very important is let's stop pretending like the officials on the field need to make every call. We all have HD TVs in our living rooms. We know they have them up in the press box. We've seen it work in college football. We've seen the NFL unofficially adopt it. Now let's just go all in and officially adopt it. And unlike college basketball, which is driving me insane, I am pro replay. I am like, get it right. I am like, these sacking the quarterback and getting 15 yards when you didn't really hit him in the head or anything. Stop, just get it right, but get it right quickly. Have the guy buzz down in your ear and say, we just looked at it. It was absolutely out of bounds. He stepped out. All right, cool. Done. We got the right call. And that's actually what they're talking about is you can pick up a flag if somebody buzzes down, like, hey, that wasn't a flag, not the 5-minute delay. I don't mind the slow-mo on the really crucial calls or whatever, but just the get it right rule in the NFL, the common sense replay rule. We're getting closer to that every year. I think that's something that's going to go through this year.
Yeah, and then even going back to how we started with talking about the tush push, people are like against it. Like, it's not like the Yankees that they got somebody from MIT to engineer a bat that's like X amount of like centimeters larger that ends up in like 20 runs scored or something like that. It's a play where it's literally like a cheese wedge. Like, you know where they're going. Stop it. That's all you got to do. Put your heaviest guys up front and stop it. Yeah. I don't know. I'm pro tush push. It makes the game kind of exciting to me. You know what's going to happen. You just have to stop it. That's
one other big thing that they're going to be talking about at the owners' meetings. I think Roger Goodell is going to talk to owners about it. From my understanding, there's no way they can put it in as early as this week. I don't believe is the 18-game schedule. There's going to be a big battle between players and teams and owners over that, and they're going to have to give up some concessions on both sides. But look, I'm 100% sure there will be an 18-game schedule at some point. I mean, it's inevitable. When they went to 17, you knew they were going to get to 18 eventually. Take away a preseason game, that'd be good. For fans paying tickets, they'll be paying the same amount of games, but one more of them will be real every other year. My big thing, though, that I've also been pushing for as far back as I can remember is since the advent of Thursday Night Football becoming a weekly occurrence and so many teams playing on Thursdays, 18-game schedule, but every team gets 2 buys, which I think is probably going to happen with an 18-game schedule. And every Thursday night game comes after one of your buys. Like, never again are you playing Sunday, Thursday. One of your buys is your normal bye week that you've always had. Your other bye comes before you play on Thursday night. I can draw it up. I know there'll be a few weird teams that get buys in like week 2, or week 15 or whatever, but I'll live with it to get 2 bye weeks a season and to always have at least 6 days rest between games. So sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up also because yeah, you're gonna make the season longer, but that's more opportunities for star players to get injured and
How can TV be against that? Yeah.
exactly. We'll have to see how that shakes out because man, the season is long. The
Yep.
season it feels short when it's gone, and it's like, man, where's football? But when you're in like that week 5 to about week 10-ish kind of range, it's like, man, this is long, but especially gets longer when you're losing. I'm not gonna lie. It's very,
So out there,
long. Yeah.
Saints only winning 5 games, 17-game season felt like it might as well have been 37 games last year.
Yeah, for sure. But do you think, like, just off the top of your head, are you like all the way in on that? Because I don't know if the players are gonna go for no 18.
No, I mean, I don't need 18 games. I'm not saying I need 18 games, but even if they stayed at 17 games, I am a 2 buys.
Yeah.
Like, there is no harm in giving these guys more rest and recovery time. Like, player safety has been the biggest issue for a decade. I can't believe if you told me what are 2 of the biggest things that have happened in the NFL in the last 15 years, I'd be like, oh, the emphasis on player safety and they now play every night of the week. Those 2 things
Yeah.
are complete
Yeah.
opposites. Like I remember there used to be 2 buys in the schedule for a few years, and I think one of the main reasons they got rid of it was that TV was like, man, we got some crappy games to choose from every week, and I just feel like with the parity of the NFL, it is true. I mean, you're going to get Raiders versus
Jaguars,
Rams on
yeah.
TV every once in a while, but with fantasy football as big as it is, with gambling legal in every state, Raiders Jaguars matters to a lot of people. People are still going to watch. So, in the name of player safety, I would give teams 2 buys, and then look, the season expands, and now you got President's Day the day after the Super Bowl, and everyone can take the day off work. Or is it President's Day or is it Martin Luther King Jr. Day? That I think it's President's Day is how but I think President's Day is how the calendar would fall if you pushed the Super Bowl back 1 week, and that is a holiday for a lot of people, and it would become even more of a holiday for a lot more after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Martin Luther King Day is in January, so that's still playoff time. But man, I just want there to be. I know it's hard to satisfy everyone, but just to be the best season that you can put out because like the NBA right now, they're having even issues with. All right, we have this season now. We're putting this type of tournament mid-season and
Yeah.
playing tournament.
Season is way too long, in my opinion. Speaking of back when I used to, I covered that lockout season. I covered the Sacramento Kings. 50 games started in January, and I was like, "This is how it should always be," because no one cares until the playoffs. So 82 games starting in October is nuts.
Yep.
Nuts.
Let's move on into our next segment presented by Aaron Rose. Mike, tomorrow starts draft month. The countdown begins. Yep. It's going to be April. And it's not no April Fools on, kind of where the Saints should look into. So what position do you think we just been sleeping on? What players do you think we've been sleeping on heading into draft month?
Look, I'm not going to be your source for telling you who the undrafted steals are yet. I don't know if I ever will be. I don't, I'm not, I don't know college like the back of my hand like that. And I try to scout what the Saints need and what's realistic for the Saints. But I'm going to take this question a slightly different direction since they picked 9th and 40th, we've been talking about so many guys that make sense at 9. And then we've started to talk about some guys who make sense at 40. But there's a player that I love, Emeka Buka, Ohio State receiver, who I think will go in the 20s. And I'm like sitting here, how did the Saints end up with it? I don't think they should take him at 9, but I also don't think they should take McMillan at 9, who's the top receiver in this year's draft class. So I think they could wait till round 2 or 3 and get a good receiver. But man, if they would finally trade down for the first time in 17 years, slide down to 20 and take Ibuka.
Mm.
He's a big slot. He's exactly what we're talking about for what they don't have in their receiving core. He ran a super fast time for his size at Ohio State's Pro Day. He's an Ohio State receiver. The Saints never miss when they take guys from Ohio State. So I wish there was there's no mock draft where I'm going to be able to give him to the Saints at 9 or 40. So I wish there was a world where they could end up with him. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just like we don't talk about it. Like we'd probably be talking about Gray Zabel a lot, interior offensive lineman. He might be a center, but it'd be like, man, if the Saints had a pick in the 20s, we'd be talking about how much we like Gray Zabel from North Dakota State. So to me, it's that range. We're not talking about anybody who's going to go 20th in the draft. That'd be a great picking in the 20s would be a great time to be picking a corner. So I wish there was a world where the Saints could trade down and we could put all these guys on the board. But I will give a shout out to we put out our Martin's question of the day submission today.
Mm-hmm.
And let me give proper credit here. Ricky,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was spamming us with the Saints should draft receiver Andrew Armstrong from Arkansas. Who, let me make sure I have this right. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing him look like he's going to be a late day 3 pick, if not an undrafted free agent, even though he's I'm reading Ricky's scouting report, 6'3", 202, and led the SEC in yards and receptions. That's crazy to me that those two things can both be true, that you can lead the SEC in yards and receptions and be a big-bodied guy and go in round 7. But I'm sold. Your spamming worked. I'm sold. I'll take him in round 7. Marcus Coastal, here we come.
Whoa there. But I mean, hey, maybe we'll see. I'm going a little bit later in the rounds. I'm going in round 4, kind of that range where between 3 and 4 is where I want to kind of get a running back. But I'm actually going back to the defensive line. I think they're going to go defensive line first if whatever scenario doesn't happen and they stick at 9. I think they're going to go on the defensive line. But I like Savion Jones, man. I covered him in high school when he was at St. James, and then in college at LSU. Flashes, not really a big pop-out season where it's like, oh, this is the guy, but he was included in some of those dinners that they've had with players. And I really like the way he plays the game. He plays to his size. You know what I mean? He's not a guy that plays under his size or a little more meek than his size dictates. He could be a game wrecker in terms of affecting plays. Like you want to see a Brian Brzee, somebody leap over and block a field goal, something like that. He can do that. I've seen him do it before. And he seems to tally up a good bit of pass breakups. So I think somebody like that, not first 3 rounds, but you get to 4 and later where you start just throwing darts at the board and say, okay, we like him. He's a, good character guy. Let's get him in the building. I think that will be a move like that because, I mean, you go back and you look at the last couple of drafts at the people that they've taken in those later rounds, and those people end up not even really seeing the field too much. So if you're going to do it with somebody, I don't know, something different. That's kind of what I'm looking at, something different. Also, Nick had reported that a guy from the Louisiana Pro Day, which is when they take the smaller schools like Nichols, Southeastern, different places like that, and they bring them to the facility and they showcase their talents on the same kind of level as like the LSU or two.
Yeah, they bring in their LSU guys on that day too.
Yeah.
Will Campbell came in. So, I mean, they don't count against your 30 visits if they're local. So you arrange. That's the best time to visit with those guys. Yeah.
Right. And then they were able to get Darius Lewis in the building. And Nick was talking about how they took him out again, wide receiver. And, his return ability is there. So we'll have to see. So I really think it is.
So I'm doing research here. Man, McMillan had 1,300 yards. The SEC it's crazy. So this is correct that Andrew Armstrong led the SEC in receptions to receiving yards, 78 for 1140. Only 2 1,000-yard receivers in the entire SEC this year? How is that possible?
Ryan Williams up there?
865 and 13.
Lacey.
866. You've got number 11 and number 10. Let's see. Do the whole top 10. Let's do a Family Feud style. No, but look, I mean, there are There are
Is that there?
there's about 25 receivers in the country who had over 1,000 yards. McMillan was third in the country at 1,300. Jeremiah Smith, Ohio State, 1,300. Travis Hunter, 1,300.
Yeah.
Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end, 1,200. Speaking of guys we like for the Saints. But only 2,000-yard receivers in the SEC. That blows my mind. One other name to add, speaking of who Nick's been talking about, Nick has put his stamp on Hunter Deckers as a possible undrafted quarterback that he likes a lot, who I think would count as a sleeper. And he finished at Iowa Wesleyan after beginning his career at Iowa State, which has made him under the radar, but a ton of talent there. So he would be a very, very intriguing late round flyer or undrafted pick for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, look, man, you never know. You never know what somebody's going to do, because that year Bill Belichick went in there and got Kyle Duggar, and it was like, yo, who is that? And then you look at the tape, and it's like, oh, this dude was tearing it up. Or when the Cowboys went and got Leighton Vander Esch, somebody who wasn't even playing like legit football. So yeah, it's you never know who you're gonna go in there and get, because you never know what kind of diamonds you'll find in the rough. We're gonna hit a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more show.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com.
Welcome back for more NOF. It is now time for our next segment presented by Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Mike, the Saints have taken some time and worked on their identity that's going to be on the field this offseason. They got Kellen Moore in there, which is a changeover of the regime that's been in the building for the last decade plus. So is it time that they make changes to the uniforms also? What do you think?
Yeah, look, this is okay. I'll let you go first, but I will say this. I feel like we would have so many more social media followers, so many more hits. So, like, if we did this topic more often, because man, oh man, there's nothing that gets like whenever like I'll wake up one day and I'll be like, oh, geez, why do I have 117 notifications? It's because someone tagged me on there. Look at my new uniform, and then the feedback comes flying in.
Yeah,
there's excitement that comes along with uniform changes. But I will say, when I see other teams do it, the hit rate on me being like, oh, damn, they nailed it is probably 20%.
20%.
Like when teams go new, like
It's
I see
better lately.
do it right. Like Chargers nailed it. All I see is, damn, Philly's wearing the Kelly green again. I love it. The Broncos got the orange crush again. I love it. Oh, the Dolphins are going back to their old uniforms. I love it. Oh man, the Jets uniforms used to look so much better. But I'm old. Let me hear your thoughts.
All right. So what you're talking about is the throwback renaissance. That's there. And top for me, Kelly Green, the Minnesota Vikings with their bud patches, and let's see, the Oilers uniforms. I like those a lot. You talk about a successful bridge.
Great. Yeah. Although I will say this, of the new uniforms that I just crapped on a little bit, I love the Titans color scheme. I love it's the same as the Memphis Grizzlies. I love that dark blue and the light blue together. It looks sharp to me. That's one of the better looking new uniform colors that we've seen in a long time. But I do
saw it, and that's kind of what made me think about this topic. You saw the Titans say, "Hey, we're leaning into this light blue all the way. That's just what we're doing this season." But you talk about two teams who've had uniform rebrands that have worked. The Arizona Cardinals and the Houston Texans just rebranded the entire identity. The Cardinals is more of a evolution. The Texans is more of a, all right, we're changing the script. And I think the Saints need to do that because there's no reason why the helmet, the jersey numbers, and the pants should be 3 different shades of gold.
No, okay. Yes. That I was going to let you go first, but that's what I was going to come back with. That is the absolute 100% right answer that I should have started with.
Like it's 2025. What are we doing? So I think you change that. I think that black helmet, it gets redone, retooled. I don't like the amount of fleur-de-lis down the middle stripe. I think it's distracting. I think we change that up a little bit with maybe a white and gold stripe in there. And I think you retool some of the key pieces from the past. You put the Louisiana patch back on. You see like you said, you see the mock-ups that go on Twitter, and those are some good concepts. You lean into the past while still pushing yourself to the future. I think you add some type of white on black striping down the pants or some gold on white striping down the pants. The color rush uniform, you don't have to get rid of that, but you can add another helmet into there. You know what I mean? You can, I know this is like trivial stuff. This has nothing to do with the actual game of football, but it's important. The visual identity is important.
You know what? Well, you can say that, but look, the color rush had juice. Like it had juice. Like you look good, you feel good is a real thing, and the color rush, I think a lot of people have agreed. Like nationwide, the Saints color rush is the best looking color rush of anyone, and definitely top 3, top 5. And I think that's special to be like, we look better than everyone else in the league. And who was it? It was one of the locals that just came back. I don't remember if it was Justin Reed or if it was, was it Brandon Cooks or God, was it somebody who used to play for the Saints talking about, man, being back in those all blacks, prime time in the Superdome, the players love that. They used to, when I used to talk about players, like even Marcus Colston, who's so soft spoken on everything, he loved the black jersey, black pants. Right. They wear in the prime game. So you look good, you feel good is real. You want everyone to be like, we've got the best uniforms in the league. I think that boosted Oregon football. Like I get all of it. For sure. Sometimes I just think teams try a little too hard. Like what are we doing here? Like we've let AI take over our uniform redo. Like the Eagles uniform in the history of sports. Yeah. And now if you showed me a picture and you took the logos off the helmets, I don't know if I'm looking at the Eagles or the Jets. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could say these Texans' new uniforms look good, but I mean, God, the Texans, are they all going? Is there a buy 3 get 1 free on the fonts that these teams are using? Like, and none of them are like, there's no nostalgia with any of them. So I like the idea of take what we do, take what we are, and then find something that pops, like the Saints color rush. I think the black helmets would have been great without the fleur-de-lis stripe down the middle. But they'd look better with the all black uniforms. I mean, it should be black with black. Or give me some nice white helmets to go with the white color rush. That would be awesome. But absolutely, if they just got the right goal, that's the key. That's the key. Don't change the logo. I don't care about changing the font even. Maybe a stripe here, a stripe there. Sometimes there's too many stripes. Don't write the word Saints on the pants. Don't give me a NO, on my stripe, or like ATL or anything. Like I don't get cute, but yeah, get the gold right. Get the gold right.
Right, for sure. I mean, that's what it already does.
The pants, the numbers, and the Where are you on gold jersey tops? I could take your leave.
I'm out. The Aaron Brooks gold jersey tops, I'm out.
Yeah.
Because you can't do the other things right. I don't expect you to do that gold jersey top right. I mean, they might. It would be. I saw something. I follow this Twitter account who's like deep in the uniform stuff. I mean, Paul Lucas, he used to be killing it. That's the type of stuff I like, in all honesty.
Yeah.
Like the whole stylistic, which players sign with which company with the cleats they wear and all of that type of stuff. And they were saying how it was proposed that the rivalries between teams in the division would be like a throwback kind of thing, or have special uniforms catering towards that. I'm all for that. But if you're going to go a gold jersey, like we just stated, the overarching point of this whole topic is you have to have the golds to match. You don't want to go out there and look crazy.
Have one gold.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember, what was that, 22 at the end of the season when they went black tops, white pants, and it just was a wild combo. With the throwbacks, it doesn't look right because the golds don't match. So, yeah, go in there and make it happen.
Do you have the gold? I mean, are we talking Georgia Tech gold? Are we talking
that champagne-ish kind of gold? I'm not mad at, but if you go with like an actual gold, and I think it has to look good on TV, I think that's a part. I mean, those guys are experts. They know what they're doing in terms of all of that. But I think you have to, like, it can look good in person and up front, but
give me the color rush. We got the color rush jersey up.
yes.
You want the helmet to match the number, or you want the number to match the helmet? Is the helmet the template here,
I want the helmet to match the number?
So the number, that's what they nailed. The gold,
that number
jersey is the gold.
Yes, I think that's the right move. That's the right move, and I want the helmet to match that. I want all the other golds to match that, even if you change the word mark. Because you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they changed their word mark, and we were noticing that at the Superdome because it was plastered everywhere, and it was in the end zone. And I think somebody was saying, like, oh, I like the old one better. The old one had character, but this one also, it's minimalistic, but it still has a little bit of character because the edges of the E's are like sharp, like a bird's beak, and different things like that. I think you incorporate that with just a new era, man. Just it's a new age. It's 2025. Hit the refresh button. Get some new stuff up in here. Now, all of this goes out the window if they lose. It's just, if you get these new uniforms,
they are losing, but I don't know if you've noticed they're losing right now.
But if you start losing, it just becomes another add-on to the list of, oh well, they changed this, so
yeah,
that sucks. Yeah, so
you get like you just look. Aaron Brooks is very polarizing. In some ways, he might be the second best quarterback ever to play for the Saints, but I know a lot of people think of the negatives too. You slapped that. You said, "Oh, the Aaron Brooks jerseys." Like you didn't say, "Oh, the Deuce McAllister jerseys." They could whatever jerseys they go 5 and 12. You'd be like, "Oh, the Dennis Allen, Derek Carr era jerseys."
Right?
It's careful.
Yeah, it sticks to you. It sticks to you for good or bad. It sticks to you, and more times it's bad. In all honesty, because the hit rate now is getting a little bit higher. They're putting shoulder stripes on. They're putting 3-tone shoulder stripes on. Denver, their new uniforms last year, they put a combination of different things incorporating the city on there. Plus, they still paid homage back to the past with the Orange Crush uniform. So that whole 2000s edgy, let's do it. Let's back it up a little bit, calm it down, and really take it up from the studs. That's how I feel. This is something I care about.
But we do both agree. The gold from the lettering on the color rush jerseys, just expand it.
Yes.
Sorry, take the fleur-de-lis stickers off the black helmets and wear the black helmets with the all blacks.
There we go. I think that's a solution right there.
Couple tweets right there.
Let's get back into the football, man. Let's move on to our next topic presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. What's your final four of Saints needs remaining this offseason? The final four is set in basketball. My bracket was busting into the Sweet 16. So what are your final four needs remaining on the board? And look, just like the actual final four, to me, all of these are 1 seeds.
All right. Yeah, that's true. They didn't fill a non-1 seed. I mean,
Yeah.
We're talking about, first of all, my bracket had 4. I didn't do it on purpose, but I had 4 3 seeds in my Final Four. I forgot we were in the NIL era. From now on, we're just all going to pick 1 seeds from here on out.
Whoever can
Because
pay, man.
picking Trail anymore in the transfer portal era. I should say. But if it's a 1 seed, quarterback's got to be on it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's possible that they come to camp and they haven't added a single quarterback. I doubt that. I expect them to add one at some point. But I don't, I think it's a long shot they add one in round 1. I think Derek Carr is going to be their starting quarterback, and Spencer Rattler will probably be their backup quarterback this year. So in that sense, it's always hard to compare quarterback to other positions. But they don't have their answer at quarterback, so that's a 1 seed. And you know what? If Tennessee lowers the price on Cam Ward because nobody else is really interested and they want to get in there, sure. Like that, we're all just biding time. But we're talking uniform changes until they finally get their quarterback.
That's right. No, top for me is another 1 seed that I guess it'll go against quarterback is defensive line. Getting that right, getting a good edge.
Are we allowed to make defensive end? Are you allowed to say defensive line?
I'll go defensive end. That's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say it.
Defensive end?
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say defensive end. I think getting a solid defensive end is key and crucial. And yeah, you just re-signed Chase Young, but you need somebody to pair with that. Cam Jordan's getting older. We know what the holes are. We know it's Swiss cheese. So you just got to fill it in. What's next for you?
I agree. Defensive end is my, it's like quarterback, defensive end are the 2 positions just in general. That would probably be true if I had Myles Garrett on my team. That would probably be true if I had Max Crosby on my teams. I would still say defensive end. Give me 3 of them and rotate them in and out, be the Philadelphia Eagles. But obviously defensive end, you've got Chase Young and Carl Granderson penciled in as starters. So you want more and you want better. But a position to me that's in my Final Four because I don't know who my number 1 corner is. Corner is right. I think I'm quarterback, defensive end, left tackle, corner. I think those are my big 4, and I don't know who their number 1 corner is right now. So that's a 1 seed for me.
Wow. Another 1 seed for me. Some people are going to get snubbed, and I'm not going to like that. It's a toss-up. Let's go to the booth. It's a toss-up between solidifying the offensive line and getting a big play wide receiver. I think that's crucial for me because Nick and I, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. With them bringing in Brandon Cooks, that gives you another body type of the Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. But does that mean Jawan Johnson definitely has to be that big type, play up to his size, like you throwing it, he's in there and getting it, the Jimmy Graham type, not exactly Jimmy Graham, but that same type with the body style and prototype of kind of what's expected of him. But flipping a coin, I'll have to say solidifying the offensive line. I know you just got ratings last week, and I think it is crucial that you make sure that the offensive line is solid for whoever is back there at quarterback. So
I'm torn the exact same way. Like that, and that's why it's crazy. I mean, you combine defensive lines so you could get defensive end and defensive tackle both in. You combine offensive lines so you could get tackle and guard both in.
Right.
Combine big pass catchers so we can get receiver and tight end both in. In other words, they have 8 number 1 seeds. They really do. Yeah. And we didn't even mention running back, which we talked last week about how there's a case to be made for taking Genty in round 1, and that even in my top 8.
Right.
It's tough.
Back at 2. I mean, I say you could throw anything in here. All of it is almost 1 seeds, man. In all honesty, but it's just like, all right, we got to narrow it down to 4. So yeah, it's kind of a fun exercise.
It's crazy not to have pass catcher in our 1 seeds. But oh man, especially if you're allowed to combine big receiver and tight end into one category. If somebody wanted to tell me that's their number 1 overall, that's their Florida, that's their Duke or whatever, not argue.
Exactly.
Man, now we get to, we're the committee. We're in the room. Do we have to change anything? Is it quarterback, corner, defensive end, offensive lineman?
Offensive line. I think that's the 4.
And big pass catcher is right. outside looking in, but could easily pull off the upset. This is not a free
throw. Yeah.
This is not a chalk tournament.
No, if they hit a free throw, if they get a better call, then yeah, they're in there. But I don't know. Y'all make sure you put it in the comments. What would your Final Four be of needs going into the remainder of this offseason? Because it's a hard thing to do because there's so many needs.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, look, with our last topic, I know what seed was on there. That was a 16 seed that ended up making his way up towards the top, but not all the way in. Uniform changes. That's all.
Hey, people are gonna love that. You can. We should have a weekly segment on that, probably.
You need your Americon, man. You need your Americon at McNeese, the small level school, but something on the side to make you excited about it and say, am I putting McNeese over Clemson? Yeah, why not? They have that guy with the aura, so that's what that was for me. We're going to hit a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience. Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Here at the Queen Casino, indulgence knows no bounds. Prepare your taste buds for an extraordinary culinary journey. Start your day at Capital Coffee. Craving something different? Three Walks Noodle Bar offers a tantalizing selection of Asian delights. At 1717 Kitchen and Cocktails, savor American cuisine with a twist. Or ascend to the loft for an elevated experience. Enjoy artesian grazing boards and exquisite craft cocktails. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back for more NOF. It is now time for our Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. Today's question comes from Troy Marks. Troy asks, are we just assuming that Spencer Rattler can't be the guy after just one rookie season? He was thrust into a bad situation, no real weapons, and did okay as a rookie. Seems everyone is quick to write him off when most QBs need time to grow into the pro game. I agree.
Yeah, no, that's part of one of the Saints in their current state to move on from Derek Carr. This would be a great time to give a fuller evaluation to Spencer Rattler and decide what you've got in him. Look, I mean, I don't think he was a 5th rounder, but he's probably more like a 2nd rounder. I do lump him in with the just caliber of what we've seen in the history of the NFL, like Will Levis, Kenny Pickett, whatever, the guys that aren't quite the answer at quarterback, the 10-year long-term guy at quarterback. I'm not saying that's impossible for him. It's possible for him, and I would like a little bit more of a evaluation. But yeah, I'm a little bit more like, if you think a guy can be that, if you think a guy can be a 10-year starter, then don't let Spencer Rattler get in your way. But I don't just need, another, I don't need just another body in the building in the 4th round to replace Spencer Rattler as my top developmental quarterback. I like I like Rattler as a developmental quarterback, and
Yeah.
I think he showed that it's not too big for him. I mean, there might be some, he might ultimately never get there. Obviously, there's size issues with him. But no, I completely agree. I if anything, if you told me what did I learn from last year, that I want to keep working with him. Not that I've dismissed.
Yeah, and he left. I mean, even though they lost, pretty decent taste. You know what I mean? That last game against Tampa Bay, he played well.
Yeah.
He played well. Now, what really is the key is putting that one half that he has, copy and paste it.
Yeah.
Just copy and paste it to put a whole game together, because you could even see in that Washington game when he came in after halftime.
Yeah.
And the Saints
Awesome.
won that game against a team that made the NFC Championship. So what are we talking about? I definitely think you put him in there with some good weapons, some good protection on the offensive line, consistent protection on the offensive line that like there was at the last game of the season. And yeah, he can thrive. Might be too strong of a word to use right now, but I think he can show better than what he has. And I honestly think he can win a game. In all honesty,
give him healthy receivers and a healthy offensive line too. I mean, that's true for Derek Carr too. It is so funny how many times I see people let Spencer have that excuse and don't let Derek have that excuse. But yeah, second year, full year in the NFL. Yeah, obviously has to learn a new offense this year, but no, absolutely. I'm still high on Spencer. I think it was a great 5th round pick. It doesn't stop me from drafting Cam Ward. It doesn't stop me from drafting Arch Manning the next year or whatever. But yeah, I haven't given up on him as a potential guy at all.
And he's no stranger to that. When he was at Oklahoma, they brought in Caleb Williams, so he knows how to fight with some young blood, fresh blood in the water. That's how it's been for him. That'll do it for this edition of NewOrleans.Football. We appreciate everyone for stopping in today. Make sure you're subscribed to the site because it is going to be draft month starting in April. Catch you next time.